just do some of Tim's basic techniques where we do the inking onto the nonstick craft sheet. We start with the basic browns. Some scatter straw, vintage photo and scatter straw are two real nice colors that we can put together. Put some water down on top of that so that we can do some impressing here. Do a little printing. After you get a basic color, clean up your area skosh and dry that first, and then we'll put some water on there, a technique called spritz and flick that'll get you a real nice depth to your distressing tag background.
I just purchased a Heat It.
They sure are nice.
I just, you know, I can do 2 o'clock in the morning and nobody wakes up.
And not to mention it's great for the kids. No one can get hurt with it, which is real nice. I've got 2 young children, and this way no one's going to get hurt. So once you get your tag, I do, and you're one of them. Hi, Katie.
I'm not young. I'm gonna be 10 this year.
Camera, sweetheart. Now we're gonna do some spritz and flick by putting some water into your hand, let it go down in smaller dots, make a wonderful random pattern. Let it sit for about 10 seconds or so, and after it's set for 10 seconds, then we're gonna just let it go and drip different directions. Let it sit another 10 seconds or so, and at that point, blot off all the water, and it's amazing how it doesn't look like a whole bunch at this point. Once it thoroughly dries, we get a real nice depth to the distressing tag, and the ink just gives us lots of watermarks to the colors and will work real nicely to give us a really pretty background.
That's gorgeous.
Now tell me again what colors of the re-inkers that you use?
I use scatter straw re-inker, scatter straw pad, and then I use the vintage photo tag, or vintage photo pad itself. You always can tell when your tag is pretty well finished because of the fact that it's flat again. Your non-stick craft sheet from Ranger is great because it's got a Teflon mesh in it that reflects the heat back up, so it'll dry, double dry, I guess you'd say, your tag at one time and reflect that heat right back up again. So at this point, we've got a nice working background to do some things with. And now we'll take one of Tim's new sets. This set he calls his At the Movies. It's a set of stamps that's all kind of all built together, and with an acrylic block, you can take and put a random background on here. We'll kind of just build with this one set. This is one of the tags that Tim made at CHA that he made with the new stamp sets, and one of his new pins from Advantis. It's just a nifty little device. He's made the film strip work on this one, that it'll work with the stamp, so it kind of all blends together. So if you take the film strip and put it on, and just use archival black.
Now why do you use the archival?
The archival doesn't have any reaction to the water, and when I do anything more with water or anything else, it won't affect it in any way, shape, or form, which is nice. So we'll stamp that in black on top, and eventually we'll put our film strip that Tim's got on top of that also. And maybe on a blank tag, we'll take and we'll stamp some an image with the ticket. And we'll cut that out so we can attach that on.
Yeah, I like
Folks
the way
at the
you
register are all chatting. We're just about to get started for the show.
Oh,
so
okay.
Chatting away there.
Yeah, I like the way that you're rubbing it off with your, you're not putting wet wipes and all this stuff on your stamps. You're just literally just wiping them off.
It works just fine that way. Just take most of it. I don't even clean my wood mounted stamps. These I clean just so they don't gum up my other plastics. Just make a little ticket this way. When you color with your cut and dry foam in the bottom of one of the applicators, you can get a real soft pattern by using the craft sheet and bringing the ink onto it this way. The micropore pads don't really absorb much of the ink itself, so it transfers real nicely and doesn't really stick into there. In the beginning we used to use makeup sponges, but then was educated a little bit more and realized that you can do things with it. We'll take a paper distresser and hit the corners here just to rough it up a little bit.
And that's one from Tim's collection also, right?
It is. It's from the tonic line. And it works wonderfully for just bringing things and making it just a little more distressed. In the past, I used to use back of scissors or knife and so forth, and it just made quite the mess. So at this point, we'll take the popcorn and we'll stamp that and try to come up with a neat little... Now the grunge board itself has two sides. You've got a rougher side where I think they use traction to pull it through the wheels that make it smooth on the other side. So this we'll just stamp on the one side. Get that up real good. Just going to put it right onto the grunge board, give a little bit of dimension. Again, we'll just cut that out. And we'll let that just dry up a little bit. The ink can still smudge around a little bit if you wanted to, but instead we will go ahead and let it dry so we can ink with a different color. Tim's scissors have a micro blade on it that kind of self-sharpens. They're Teflon coated so that you can really get a great cut with them. They are also made by Tonic and are a great product for doing different things with. You can cut any kinds of, it cuts metal, they cut little pieces of thin acrylic, it'll cut grunge paper, grunge board, all your papers and so forth, and just give you a real beautiful edge.
They also cut blister packs, clamshell packs open.
They'll do that real well, you're right about that. Mustard seed on here. Got to keep some of that gray in the grunge board itself. We're just gonna. A lot of times it seems like if you just rub the ink into the grunge, a little twist of the wrist, it works even better in my mind to get it all prettied up. And after you do that, we're going to come back in with a couple of different pens. I like the Ink Essentials white pen from Ranger, and there's a black Sakura black glaze pen that really helps make some things pop. So we're going to come back in and just highlight some of the areas that were lost when we inked them up a little more. Grunge boarded paper have different tendencies to ink. So if we just go ahead and ink accordingly, you can get a real nice look to it. And I think a lot of the images that all stamps come with is that they've got the ability to almost show you where you come back and say, oh, it needs some color there to make it stand out a little bit more and so forth. And subtly just, attaches that on there.